Hello, welcome to episode 33 of Little Bobbins Knits. My name is Dani and you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Little Bobbins. We have a Ravelry group which you can find by searching Little Bobbins Knits in the groups tab on Ravelry. Oh, I can't remember if that's right. I don't know how that's just completely left my brain. Little Bobbins Knits podcast maybe. There'll be links in the show notes, and the show notes can be found at littlebobbins.co.uk. Sorry, I just had a complete brain blank there. So welcome. I'm really pleased that you're here today. Thank you for coming and visiting me. It's really lovely to be chatting with you. I hope you've had a lovely week, the past week. It's getting very hot here, which is it's nice to look at, and I'm very happy that this house is cool because it's very hot outside. Bobbin's been doing a lot of running outside and having a sunbathe, just flat out in the garden and getting far too hot, running inside and lying on some tiles to cool down again. Funny little thing. So yes, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you very much to everyone who's been in touch over the last week. It's always so lovely to hear from you. Just given Bobbin a ball treat thing, so he's just taken that off to hide. I'm a bit distracted today. I didn't know whether to mention this because I find this whole area quite difficult, but I found out yesterday that someone who I follow in this wonderful creative world that we live in has died, and it's just a very sad, just such a loss of such a wonderfully inspiring and colourful person. I didn't know her personally. I followed her blog, I followed her on Instagram, we had some tiny interactions on Instagram. I was always really inspired by her vibrancy. And I didn't know whether to mention anything because it's difficult. I don't know if you find it difficult too, but we feel connected to the people that we chat to on Instagram and the people that we're inspired by in this vibrant world. And it's almost a difficult thing to know what to do when one of those people isn't around anymore. I don't want to detract anything from the people who knew her, because their grief will be huge. But there's a sadness that she's not around anymore, and that she lost her life to something that I think a lot of us suffer from, some more openly than others. I'm talking about Wink, who ran A Creative Being blog. And there's a project being set up in her memory. I'll leave links to it in the show notes. And yeah, it's just a very tragic loss of a very creative and inspiring life. A very inspiring woman who struggled, and yeah, I didn't know whether I should say anything, but I didn't feel like I could just let it pass because it's so sad. So I don't know if this will go into the podcast, but anyway, it's, yeah, very sad. Sad news, and I'm just heartbroken for her family and friends. And I think the Fibre community will be less colourful now. So yes. The thing that it's made me think is no matter how colourful, vibrant and happy someone looks, they could be really struggling. So it's made me want to be kinder to people, because we just don't know what's going on, do we? It's something that I absolutely don't talk about, but I struggle with depression and it's a monstrous thing. But yeah, it's really made me think, let's be kind. Let's be kind to each other, because we don't know what's going on in that person's life. I'm going to assume that people are just doing their best, and I hope people will assume the same of me. So, yeah. Okay, so the things that I wanted to talk to you about today are my works in progress and a bit of knit-along news, which I'm really, really pleased to hear that lots of you want to get involved with. I have a finished object that's mostly finished, and I have some lovely things to show you. Bobbin is on a mission to bury his little ball. He is the most terrible barrier. It's just awful, really. Brewski, when he used to bury things, you wouldn't find them. He was amazing at burying things, but Bobbin thinks, oh gosh, he's picked it up again now. Bobbin thinks that just putting something in the corner of a room means it's buried. No one else would be able to see it. Or if he just leaves it in the bathroom, I don't know why, in the middle of the bathroom floor, he thinks that that's a hiding place too. Funny little thing. So I have socks to show you for my first work in progress. My lovely bag from Claire. Bobbin, shall we stop with all the noise? I know, you're finding noisy places to bury things, aren't you? Such a monkey. I don't feel like I've had a lot of time for knitting over the last week. I don't know why, but I don't feel like I've got a great deal done. I've been working on these socks a little bit. These are my Regia. Regia tweed, 4-ply tweed. This is the grey with the multicoloured flecks that I really, really love. And do remember that there's the giveaway still running in the group for the 2 balls of the Regia from Suffolk Socks. Lots of people have entered already, which is lovely. So I'll keep that open until next week, or until the next episode, episode 34. All of the instructions of how to enter are in the thread. But do remember that you have to be a member of the Little Bobbins Knits group to win, because it's being held there. So the second sock is getting a bit more sock-like. It's got its heel now. The heel is a lovely mini skein that I got from Robin of Stitching Between Pages, which is a lovely podcast. I'll put links in the show notes if you haven't watched it yet. It's a really, really nice one to watch. But Robin sent me some mini skeins when we were paired in the Cup Cozy swap. And I just thought that colour was so perfect with this yarn. Sorry about this. Bobbin, it's just the digging that's loud. Yes, so they've both got their heels now, and I've been thinking about toes, and I might use this. I think that might look quite nice as a toe. Or I might just do it in the grey. Haven't decided yet, but this one's staying in the bag for me to contemplate. 1712 on Ravelry asked in the what do you want to see on the podcast thread about what length DPNs I use, and I use the 6-inch DPNs. They're the shortest ones that I found here, and they're the ones that I'm most comfortable with using for socks. Unless I'm knitting on my knitting belt, and then they need to be much, much longer. But I personally use the 8-inch DPNs if I'm knitting a sleeve. With socks I always use the 6-inch DPNs. But I imagine there's an element of personal preference there. These are the ones that I've always used, so this is the length that I'm used to. I find it's long enough that it doesn't get keep stabbing you in the palm, and it's short enough that it doesn't get in your way. So yeah, 6-inch DPNs are my preference. So they've had a little bit of work, and I'm so excited to finish them now. I think they've got to that stage where I want to get them done because I really want to cast on a new pair of socks, and I'll show you the yarn that I want to use in a little while. But I love sock projects. They're just so good for on the go, aren't they? They're so handy for just popping in your bag and taking out and about with you. Or when you don't want to think too much, which has been a place that I've been. None of my projects I haven't wanted to work on projects that have challenged me at all in the last week. So socks have been perfect. And we went to the cinema to see Mr. Holmes, which was quite good. And they're so handy for in the cinema because you can just be knitting away and the film finishes and you've got a couple more inches on your socks. I really enjoy that. I've got some iced coffee today on account of the weather. Very yummy. I think I might have made it a bit strong. The next thing I've been working on, I just popped it in here to bring it upstairs. I love this little cube. It's from Dotty Designs. I'll put a link in the show notes. But I got it at I Knit Fandango, and it's got the sort of printed picture on the front of this little canvas basket type thing. And I just really love it. I think it will look so cute when I have shelves up in my new sewing room. Hopefully, fingers are still crossed about that. But I think I quite like a couple more and just have them on the shelves with bits and bobs inside. Anyway, but in there is my blanket. Been working on this a little bit, and I've been, oh, I meant to write this down. I think I've worked out how big I want my blanket, and I think it will be 12 squares by 16 squares, and my squares are quite big. I measured it against one of my favourite quilts that Mum's made, one that's really nice to cover up with on the sofa when you're watching a film or something. Yeah, so I measured it against that, and I think that's the size I'm going for, or I might go for 14 by 18. Because I do love the idea of this blanket having loads and loads of different yarns in it. But I was at a rectangle, so I've started on the next row. So on this end, on this edge, I'll need 2 more squares to get it up to the right size, and on the other edge I'll need 2 more squares. So I'm building those up now. And on this side I've started a new row, and that's just going to be 1 more row added. And on this side there's going to be 1 more row added, so I've added another square, because I quite liked the idea of working out and then the next time it's squared, it's finished. I thought that would be quite fun. So yeah, I've just popped a few different ones on in slightly odd looking places, but because of how I've constructed my blanket, that's just how it works out. That one looks quite a peculiar shape for some reason. Lots of people on Instagram said how neat my blanket is, and I think, really, I don't think it's especially neat. I think the the overall effect of it makes it look neater than it is maybe, because some of the yarns are a bit finer or thicker than other yarns, so the squares are slightly different shapes and sizes, but with the other ones knitted around it, it sort of evens everything out and makes everything look nice and neat. So yeah, it's good like that. I got a message from Paula, and Paula asked me about how I pick which yarns to use. Have I planned it out, or am I just picking randomly? And I haven't planned anything. It's sort of controlled randomness, because I can't just pick one and then say I'm going to knit with it in that particular spot, not having looked at it. I will pick out a few skeins, a few mini skeins that I'd like to work with in that sort of sitting, and then I'll just hold them up to the blanket and see where I think they'll go okay. Usually I'm not too fussy about it, but like here I wouldn't have put another red one, and where I've put the solid colour ones, I'll tend to just put one solid one. I won't put two solid ones next to each other. So there's sort of a bit of method, but it's as random as I can make it without it just making my brain hurt. So yeah, if the colours really don't go, I won't put them together, but if I'm not sure whether they go or not, then I'll put it in, because when it's like the neat thing, when you put other ones around it, it just works. I think that's what's so fun about these projects. It just works. Colours that shouldn't really look okay together end up looking nice together. So the ones I've added on are this one. This was a Nicole C. Mendez mini skein. This one was from Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast, Bull and Vine Yarns, and so was this one. That one's got sparkle in, and if I've got sparkle ones, I don't tend to put two sparkles together either. I want them sort of dotted around as much as possible. This one was from Lena of the A Wee Bit Knitty podcast, and this one was from Claire, who sent me the lovely minis on the pegs. I also added this one. That one is the mini skein from Fondant Fibre that I got with my Rocky Horror Show kit. This is the Sugar Rush colourway. So lovely, sparkly. And this is another Nicole C. Mendez mini skein, which I really like. I love her yarns. Every time I use them, I sort of think how lovely they are. I really like the base she uses. It's nice and plump. I think some sock yarns can be a bit thin, a bit mean feeling, but hers are really nice and plump, and I like how she dyes, because it's, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's, maybe you'll see on the other one better, because you've got the self-striping, but it's sort of, what's that word I'm trying to think of? Tonal in the stripes. So they've got a bit of depth to them, which I really like. They're not just solid stripes, they've got a bit of, yeah, depth. Works, I think. So, and I like using those ones because I don't have a lot of actual self-striping. I've got much more of the self-patterning type, opal and things. So yes, that's had a bit more work. You won't be able to see, I don't imagine, but it's getting quite big and cosy, isn't it? I really love this project. If you haven't started one of these, I would so recommend it. It's such a fun project, and it's one, I was watching a couple of podcasts, I can't remember which ones, but they were saying about how they don't really like having lingering projects, so this is a bit of a challenge for them. I think it was on A Wee Bit Knitty and Knitting Expat. I think that Lena and Mina were talking about how they didn't like having the lingering projects. They liked just getting things done, getting them out of the work in progress stage. And I have to say, I have no feelings like that. I never want this to end. I don't actually think it will, because I think as soon as I cast this one off, or as soon as I finish this one, I'm going to cast on another one. And it's probably going to be exactly the same. I don't think this would ever get old for me, because you're using different yarns all the time. And there are different memories in all of the different yarns, which makes cosy memories, as Molly from A Homespun House coined the term. It just makes it so apt, because there are so many memories in these blankets. They're just really, really fun. So yeah, really enjoyable project. And it's a great one for relaxing with, I think. You get the pleasure of playing with different textures and different colours, and getting in 20 minutes you have what feels like a little finished object, because you have a finished square. So yeah, been working on that a little bit. Now, this isn't actually a work in progress technically. That's the wrong bag. But it will soon be a work in progress. In my lovely bag from Isabel, who has the Fluffy Fibres podcast. That's her little label. I love this bag. I've put in here the bits and bobs ready for the next shawl I plan to cast on. I'm going to be casting on the Come What May shawl by Susan B. Anderson. And it's such a pretty shawl. I love it in that gradient. It's just so lovely. I've wanted to knit this one for a while, and I saw that Susan had a coupon code for it, because it's just been released. It's been the rights of it have been with the kit that she initially designed it for, but she got the rights back, so she had a sort of celebratory coupon code, so I had to go over and buy it. I really love this shawl, and it will be my first time knitting with beads, which will be exciting, because I don't know if you can see on the screen, but that just before the bind off, there's a lovely row of beads. It's just so pretty. Very, very lovely. Molly of A Homespun House and Deb, who is Tink Hickman, are also casting this on, so we're going to have a little mini knit along, I think. And if anyone else wants to cast on too, then do, because I think it'll be really lovely knit. There's sort of different lace patterns separated by bits of stocking stitch, and then you get the fun beady bit at the end. And it looks to me, what do I know, but it looks to me like it might be a good start with beads. So I got these lovely beads. They're a sort of mauve colour, with a bit of a sort of iridescent type look to them. So yeah, I'm all prepared. I've got my yarn. I'm using this. This is, I think I have the ball band too, Kettle Yarn Company, Islington, which is 55% British Superwash Blueface Leicester and 45% silk. And I actually won this yarn from a knit along with Helen of A Curious Handmade, which is really, really exciting. I don't win things. Well, rarely if ever. I think that might be the only thing I've won. So I was really, really thrilled to win that. I'm excited to knit with that. And this will be my first Susan B. Anderson pattern. I've bought quite a few of her patterns, especially the toy ones. I haven't got around to knitting them yet, so I'm really, really excited to knit that. Susan was very, very kind about me in one of her podcasts, and I think that some of you might have found me through that and found my shop through her kindness. So thank you so much for that, Susan. I just was incredibly touched. It's lovely. So yes, I'm looking forward to casting that on. It'll be really fun. I've got my needles in there, everything's ready. So yeah. My next project, that also isn't actually a work in progress, but is almost a work in progress, my lovely bag from Fondant Fibre, is what I'm going to be knitting for our knit along. So the Purposeful Stash Along, I've put a thread up for it and lots of people have been chatting in there already, which is really good. I need to go and catch up with it today because there's been a lot of chat happening, which is just lovely, and lots of people planning their projects and things. But I'm going to knit this Newsome by Bristol Ivy. It's a cardigan, and you start here. It's made in it's a lightweight mitered cardigan, clean lines and gentle textures. And I won this as well, so I do win things sometimes. I won this in the Tea Cozy knit along with Tilly Trout of Tilly Trout Knits. So yay, lovely. I won things from two of my favourite podcasters, which is really lovely. So yeah, I'm excited to knit this. I have had this going in the back of my mind ever since the pattern came out, because I just think it's such interesting construction, starting with that point at the bottom and then working out in that sort of mitered style, and then at the front it's got garter stitch panels. It just looks like it'll be an interesting knit. So I've got this Rowan felted tweed to knit it in. This is colour 177, I think it's called Clay, and it's a wool, alpaca and viscose blend. I think the yarn is wool and alpaca, and then the little neps are the viscose. I've done my swatch, and this has just been crumpled in my bag. And my swatch isn't right, so I haven't got the right gauge that the pattern asks for, but I really like the fabric that I've got with this size needle. So I'm just going to have to hope for the best. I think I'm going to knit the size down because my gauge is just a bit bigger. So yeah, I think I'm just going to knit the size that smaller than I usually would, and hopefully that will work out. Honestly, my brain isn't feeling up to working things out with proper maths, so I'm just going to hope for the best. But I really like this fabric. It's really nice and soft and pliant, and I think it will make a lovely fabric to wear in the cardigan. So yeah. The Purposeful Stash Along will be starting on the 1st of July, which is 2 days' time, and it'll be running till the 1st of October, and we'll have one chat thread and then we'll have 2 different prize threads. So we'll have one prize thread which is for the smaller projects like baby cardigans or socks, things that take less yarn, and then we'll have one for adult garment size projects like I'll be doing. And I'm still sort of thinking about prizes. I'll be sort of gathering them, but I was thinking that just make them relevant to the size of project. So if you're knitting an adult size garment, then I'll probably make a adult size garment bag for the person who wins, or for one of the prizes. And then for the smaller projects, they'll get a smaller project bag that would be good for that size project. So yes, that's my thinking so far. You can join in with something that you've got sort of started, as long as you haven't done loads. Like, as long as you haven't done more than, say, 25%. So you've still got a substantial amount to do in the time of the knit along, because it would be lovely for us to knit along together. And I was thinking that we would just have one entry in the prize thread, because I just feel like that will be fairer to people who have less time or knit slower. We'll all have sort of an equal chance of winning a prize, if that's our main motivation. Hopefully our main motivation is just to be knitting along together in a sort of sharey way. But yeah, I thought it would be nice if everyone had the same sort of chance to win, because I know that some people don't have as much time, and some people don't knit as fast, and some people don't have huge stashes. So yeah, just to make it fair, I thought we'd each have one entry in the prize thread. So I hope you think that's okay. Do let me know your thoughts on it. I'm very open to feedback about that sort of thing, because I'm no expert at this knit along thing. So yeah, do let me know. I know someone said in the thread, can they use handspun stash? Absolutely, of course. I'll love to see that. That'll be really exciting. And some other people have asked if they can use stash if it's not in Ravelry, if they don't have it sort of loaded into their Ravelry stash page. And absolutely, I won't be checking if it's your stash. I'm just sort of hoping that everyone's going to be honest and enter into the spirit of it. So yeah, if you've got stash, it's completely fine if it's not on your Ravelry page, because I won't be checking, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm really excited about starting that. So I think it's Thursday the 1st, isn't it? So excited to get that cast on and see what size it decides to come out. Who knows? So, all of my works in progress, and not really works in progress because I haven't started them yet. And this is my finished object. Now, it's not blocked yet, because I just haven't had a chance to block it. I'm hopefully going to do it this afternoon, and I was thinking I'll do it outside because it's so warm out there. I think it would be dry in a second. This is my Pebble Beach by Helen Stewart, and I knit the largest size in lace weight. This lovely lace weight from the Uncommon thread. This is a heavenly lace, and it's alpaca, cashmere. I think there might be silk in there. All the details are in my project page. It's very beautiful yarn. And I must weigh this to find out how much was left. But here's the shawl, and I do quite like seeing lace projects before and after blocking, because they just change so much, don't they? So this is the before. I know that I'll get a lot more depth there, and it's already quite long, so I think it will be, yeah, it's wider than my wingspan, I think. So I'm excited to get that blocked. It's got a beautiful picot edge that you'll be able to see better when it is blocked. But it's so lovely. Look how that curls, isn't that pretty? So yeah, I'll get that blocked and I'll show you all lovely and blocked out next week. So, I have some lovely things to show you, which are very exciting. I got a lovely package from Charlene. I don't know if she wants me to share her Ravelry name, so I won't. But thank you very much for the lovely package, Charlene. I know I've already been in touch, but it's just so lovely. She sent me just a box of really, really exciting, lots of different things. So I'll just show you a couple. One of the things was this lovely yarn from LGF Suris. It's Suri sock, 55% Suri alpaca, 30% wool, 15% nylon. So maybe that should be socks. Isn't it a beautiful colour? This is the plum wine colourway. And it's very soft as well. So I'm excited to use that. I just love alpaca. I think they'll be very warm socks if I do use them for socks. Lovely. And she also sent me this skein, which is gorgeous. I love all those different shades. I don't know if they show up well, but this is purple. And then there's the sort of light sea green, and then the bright blue. The variation in colour just isn't showing up on my screen, but it's beautiful. Charlene was sent an extra skein by accident, and the shop that she bought them from said that she could keep the extra one and do whatever she wanted with it, so she shared it with me, which is just lovely. It's MJ Yarns. This is Cerulean Twilight, and it's a 85% Polworth and 15% silk DK, which is a gorgeous mix, isn't it? I do love Polworth. You don't get it in many yarns over here, I don't think. I found it in one yarn that I've used, and I've spun with Polworth as well, and it's a really, really lovely fibre. I really enjoy it. So yeah, I'm excited about what that might become like. My initial instinct is hat. I think it would make a lovely hat. And she also sent me this, which I just love. It's a little clear bag. She shared a goodie bag that she got with me, which was very exciting. She went to a fantastic sounding retreat, and they were given these clear bags. This is by Chicken Boots, and I've been seeing Chicken Boots on Instagram, and I just think they're so brilliant. I love the idea of having a clear bag, because I know some people have the clear windows in their bags, don't they? But I just think it's so fun seeing your project through your project bag. So exciting. So yeah, that was really, really lovely. I'm looking forward to putting something in there. I think that's one of the reasons that I want to start some new socks, because they're quite bright and I think I want them to live in here. So thank you so much for that lovely package, Charlene. It was a lovely surprise and lovely things. I really appreciated it. Some more lovely things. I bought a book. It's called Handmade Style. And it's not knitting, so maybe I should have talked about it last or something, but anyway, it's by Anna Graham, who's the creator of Noodlehead. 23 must-have basics to stitch, use and wear. And I've seen this on some people's Instagram feeds who I follow, and I thought it looked really interesting, so I thought I would get it. And it's got some lovely projects in it. It's got some lovely bags. I do like these larger size bags. The only bags that I tend to sew are knitting project bags. I'd like to sew some larger ones because I would use them. I really like the shape of this one. It's photographed beautifully as well, this book, and you've got all of your paper patterns in the back. I assume they'll have to be traced off because they're double-sided. I haven't taken them out yet. And there's also some clothes in here. Flip-flops. I love this tunic top. I'm always a bit put off with sewing my own clothes. I would really love to. I did a dressmaking course a while back, but the thing I find most difficult is fitting, because I'm not by any means a standard size, and I find it quite difficult to accommodate the curves in a standard pattern. I don't know that standard patterns are written for people with curves. So my inexperience means that I don't know how to change them so that they do fit me. But I'm very inspired to learn. I think watching Isabel from the Fluffy Fibres podcast, she just has such beautiful clothes that she has sewn herself. Very inspiring. And now Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast has started sewing her own clothes. I loved that skirt. Did you see her? I think it was the last episode where she showed the skirt that she made with the moth fabric. It's just gorgeous. So I'm very inspired to maybe give it a go. There's a dress that I really would like to sew. I can't remember what it's called. Washi dress, I think it is. I know Thistledown sewed one of those. Thistledown on Ravelry and Instagram. And it's just gorgeous. I'd really love to sew that dress. But yes, it's sort of it's one of those things that it'll percolate for a while and then I'll give it a go. I think when you're seeing people being inspiring, it's difficult to stop yourself from having a little try. This bag's lovely as well, isn't it? Lovely and roomy. So yeah, it's got some lovely patterns in here. It's also got quilt patterns. So, and there's some lovely big fabric baskets which are very appealing. Cushions. So I'm excited to have a sew through this book. I just thought I'd show it you. It's got some that lovely little clutch on the front. And that dress pattern is also in there. It's a lovely book. I'd recommend it if you're into sewing, and I think it's sort of on the... It will be a good one if you're close to a beginner, I think, because there's things in there that will be good to start with, and then you can work up to the more complicated things in there. I'm hoping anyway, because I do a little bit of sewing. I enjoy sewing, but I don't tend to sew from patterns. I tend to sew from I'll prototype things, so I'll just play with bits of fabric and sew those and work on how to improve them by sewing something else. I don't tend to use pattern pieces, so that's something that I'd like to practice a bit more with. But yeah, that's a lovely book. Some other lovely things I had the absolute pleasure of going to Loop in London to meet up with Tilly Trout of the Tilly Trout Knits podcast, which was just so completely lovely. It was just brilliant. I enjoyed it so much. It was such a lovely day. Yeah. I had such a lovely time. So we met up and we went to Loop and we had a very lovely look round, and I treated myself to a few things. I've been saving up because we've had it planned for a little while. So I've been saving up a bit so that I'd have some money to spend on some special souvenir yarn, because I definitely want to remember that day. It was just lovely. So I got some Misty Alpaca. This is in the Miriam colourway. It's Alpaca Merino Silk and Nylon. I haven't tried this yarn before, but I was watching a podcast and I can't remember which one, which is annoying, but the podcast was saying that she really loved this yarn. It made really soft and long-lasting socks, and Tilly's used it as well actually, and she's agreed with that, so I thought I'd give that a try. I love these colours. They're sort of peach, dusky pink, pistachio green, the sort of baby blue, plum, hunter green, lighter pink, taupe, all sorts of different colours in there. I think that's lovely. So these are the socks that I'm desperate to cast on. So yes, need to finish those other ones because I really want to cast those on. I also got this skein. This is Shalimar yarns in the Breathless. This is the antique colourway. And this is a 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere and 10% silk, 420 yards. So I thought it was quite a generous skein, and it's quite a nice plump feeling yarn. The last 3 times I've been to Loop, I've picked up this skein. The last few times I've been on their website, I've put this skein in my basket. But I've not got it for some reason. So I just thought this time it needs to come home with me. It's such a beautiful colour. I think it will make a lovely shawl. I'll definitely use it for a shawl, I imagine. It's very soft, so I'm excited about that. And I also got this skein of Socks That Rock Lightweight. This is the Watermelon Tourmaline colour. This is just superwash merino, I think. Yeah. I really fell in love with this peach. I love that peach colour, and where the peach meets the grey. I think that's so lovely. Just looks really fresh, doesn't it? Just thought that was a really interesting colour combination. So yeah, I picked that one up too. I haven't tried any of these yarns, so I thought they would be good ones to get. I have a skein of Socks That Rock, but I just haven't knit with it yet. And this is such a summery colourway that yeah, it really caught my eye. So yes, it was nice to treat myself to some yarn after not buying any for a bit, and it was just the loveliest day meeting up with Tilly, who was just such a lovely person to spend time with. It was really lovely, and I hope we do it again soon because it was so much fun. So I think that's everything for today. I hope that you have a lovely week this coming week, and that little bobbin hasn't come up to say hi, has he? Yeah, I hope that you come back again next week. It would be really lovely to see you, and I hope you come and join in with the Purposeful Stash along. So hopefully see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye.